Welcome to ASEAN BIZ, your only choice for business updates covering ASEAN countries. I'm Andrew Chia.
And I'm Eric Chong.
And we bring you business news on everything that happens around the world and how they affect ASEAN.
Our durian main story today is how Donald Trump can make America great again. But before that, let's look at our current business updates on the topic of Asia currency woes again.
Yes, Eric.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has just won the American elections. And a day after he won, all the currencies, or rather many currencies in Asia, took a tumble.
Yes, and if you observe carefully at the chart, before the elections, the US dollar was quite weak.
Right.
And it fluctuated. Then immediately after Donald Trump won, you can see the US dollar shoots up like a rocket.
Yeah, and everybody was saying that Donald Trump is bad for America's economy. Looks like the opposite is true. The
Yes.
moment he became president, or rather elected, people around the world have so much confidence in him.
Right. Well, probably they look at him as a businessman.
There goes all the predictions, right?
And you can see that actually the most currency around the world actually took a tumble, especially in the ASEAN regions and the Asian regions are the most affected better.
Yeah, Eric, let's take a look at what happened to some of the currencies in ASEAN and also Asia as a whole.
Yes, and if you look at Korean won, it's down by 1.2%.
I think it's the worst affected, right?
Yes, especially now Korean also facing the same issues as the president is a highly corrupted president.
Yeah, they are trying to ask her to step down, right?
Yes, and Indonesian rupiah down 1.1%.
I think all this is just within a day.
Within the
So
same
it's
day.
quite bad.
Yes, if you look back on the currency charts, it's all within the same day, or rather, I would say within the same hour.
And,
Indian rupee,
It seems that, Eric, this, what they call it, tumble in all the currencies is like every day is tumbling, not only for one single day.
yes,
And it's quite bad.
Recently, the tumbling is slowed down, but it's still tumbling, right? But except the European nations, where the sterling pound and the euro are quite stabilized in that sense.
Right. So you were saying Korean won is down 1.2%, the rupiah is down 1.1%, and the Indian rupee,
It's down by 0.8%.
yeah,
The Taiwanese dollar also down by 0.7%.
and Thai baht is down by 0.6%, which we are saying that the Thai baht against the Malaysian ringgit is much higher, but it seems that they are more badly affected by the US dollar compared to us.
Well, yeah, you can look at it this way. But as compared to us, in our exchange rate against other currency also badly affected.
Right.
It's not against the US dollar.
Yeah, but it seems that from here, what we have mentioned, so many other currencies like the won, the rupiah, the rupee, and the baht is performing worse than us.
Right, just slightly worse than us. Well, if you look at the Philippine peso, it's down by 0.6%.
Yeah, next is our Malaysian ringgit, which is down by 0.5% only.
Yes, and the Chinese renminbi is down by 0.15%.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. And the not so affected much is the Hong Kong dollar. It's only down by 0.01%.
Yeah,
It's
and
very
of course,
negligible.
yeah, Singapore dollar is not affected at all, right?
Singapore is not affected much because Singapore, as they claim it now, is the financial center in this region.
So, over time, say about a week or two from Donald Trump's victory, I think Malaysian ringgit has gone down quite bad. There was one particular day, about a week ago, where the ringgit took such a beating that people were speculating that the central bank was going to peg it
Yes.
to stabilize the ringgit.
But then the central bank announced that they are not going to peg the currency.
Right.
And you can see the currency, the Malaysian ringgit still goes down. And it's at one time it reaches about 4.5.
I think the Bank Negara has done something like partial currency control, where they restricted some transactions, right?
Yeah, that's true. And you can see now at most currency exchange booth in the shopping center, some currency are not even available.
Oh, that means you cannot exchange
You cannot
Malaysian
exchange
ringgit
Malaysian
for
ringgit
those
for those
currencies.
currency. And they are only buying those currency. They are not selling those currency.
That's quite bad already,
That's
isn't
quite
it?
bad. Yes.
So-
And, which means to say that this so-called forex currency
And
exchanger.
there's
are
no
actually
more bad
hoarding the
news,
currency.
Eric. I heard some companies have stopped accepting Malaysian ringgit. I'm not too
some
sure.
foreign
Maybe one or
country-
two companies,
Some
right?
foreign country is true,
Mm.
especially Malaysia, who is importing goods from certain countries, and certain deals are not actually can be transacted in Malaysia ringgit anymore. Most
They
of
want
it
to
are
use US
transacted
dollar.
in US dollars. So
And,
it's
Our government is trying to calm everybody down by saying that we are still fundamentally strong. Don't worry, don't panic. It's just a knee-jerk reaction
yeah.
to Mr. Donald Trump's victory.
But this knee jerk can be a long-term pain.
Yeah, it's not really a jerk. It's quite a long time.
Yeah, I mean, if those who experience knee pain, the pain won't go away. It will stays with you.
But it's supposed to be knee-jerk and not knee pain, brother.
Well, when the knees jerk, it becomes painful, and the pains will remain.
So, Eric, what are the reasons? Why are the Asian currencies performing badly and going down like that?
Well, firstly, if you look at it, the oil-producing countries like Indonesia and Malaysia expected to suffer due to lower oil prices expected because Donald Trump supports shale oil, which will bring down traditional oil prices. Okay, in that sense, you can see that Donald Trump's actually looked into different directions for oil production.
Mm-hmm.
He's
So-
actually supported shale oil, which is away from those traditional oil extraction.
So that means oil prices will likely remain low or may even go lower, right?
Yeah, but these 2 days you can actually see that the oil price actually shoots up for a short while.
Yeah, from 43 to 45.
45, and it touches about 47 for a short while.
Mhm.
But it doesn't pass $50. So,
Right.
Which is yet to see. And this could be just a so-called a slight uptrend of the market only.
Yeah, and then the next reason could be the countries aligned or friendly to the US perform better. I don't know how far this is true,
Okay.
but countries like Singapore and Hong Kong are doing quite well. I mean, their currencies are not really dropping so much.
Because these two countries have been friendly with US for a long
So
time.
talking about that,
Right.
there's one particular country in ASEAN that has not been so friendly with the US recently.
Recently, because they don't friend already.
I'm not going to friend you right now, okay?
Yeah, as the Philippines peso is down because of President Duterte not being so friendly with the US recently. But he's on good terms with Donald Trump, so they should perform better soon.
Yeah, he's like buddy like with Donald Trump, okay? You like to curse and swear, right? Me too, haha.
So probably it's just a matter of who is the president.
Right.
So probably he's not in friendly terms with Obama. So now he's more friendly terms with Donald Trump. Well, it's still too early to speculate anything.
Right.
We just
So
have
let's
to wait
hope
and
that
see.
our ASEAN countries and ASEAN currencies keep performing well, especially come January 2017 when Donald Trump actually assumes the role of President of the
And
United
it's
States.
quite soon. It's just about another month down the road.
Right,
And
yeah.
you can see 2017.
Yes, a lot of suspense. So let's all keep our fingers crossed and wish all the best for ASEAN. Folks, I think that's our current business update for today. We'll be back shortly with more interesting updates on ASEAN Biz. Stay tuned. Welcome back, folks. You're listening to ASEAN Biz. Before we bring on our main story for this edition, Eric is going to share with us his funny business moment. And the title of his story today is Asking for It.
At a psychiatric hospital, a journalist asked the doctor, "How do you determine whether to admit a person as a patient or not?" The doctor said, "Well, first we will fill a bathtub with water. Then we will give the patient a teaspoon, a glass, and a bucket and ask him to empty the bathtub." The journalist said smartly, "Oh, obviously a normal person would use the bucket because it is bigger." Then the doctor said, "No, a normal person would pull the drain plug. Now please go to bed number 39. We will perform further tests to determine your level of insanity."
This guy, he is really asking for it.
Yes. Right.
Okay, thank you, Eric, for
Trying
it.
to be smart.
Yeah, thanks for the funny business moment. It's really funny. You are listening to ASEAN Biz, your only choice for business updates covering ASEAN countries. I'm your host, Andrew Chia, and together with me is Eric Chong, and we bring you all the business news that involves ASEAN countries.
The title of our Durian main story today is China and Business in ASEAN.
Hey,
This article is...
it's supposed to be Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. So, it's talking about Donald Trump.
And how he can make America
How he
great
can make
again.
America great again. And this article is produced courtesy of SAMFIS, the Center for Financial Intelligence Study. SAMFIS is an international financial research organization based in London, and they do research on all practical aspects of money. SAMFIS have been our strong supporter, and we would like to say thank you again for their valuable updates on ASEAN Biz.
Yes, Eric. Today we would like to talk about the latest earth-shattering news.
Yeah.
That is the recent U.S. elections and how Donald Trump won against all odds.
And it seems that now Donald Trump, the biggest mission is to make America great again.
Yes, and
how is he going to do it?
today we are going to talk about Donald Trump and how he's going to make America great again. And we are going to talk about things like what do we know about Donald Trump and how did he manage to win the U.S. presidential elections. Besides that, we want to talk about the problems he would need to tackle as the next POTUS. And finally, we would talk about how exactly Donald Trump intends to make America great again and whether he will actually be able to perform what he promised to the people who voted for him.
So it looks like a tall order on Donald Trump, and he's better perform well.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
throughout his campaigning, he's been talking about making America great again and become a better America.
Right, Eric.
Yeah.
Let's first of all talk about this person called Donald Trump. How much do we know about him?
Well, he is 70 years old, married a few times, and have a few children. His wife was once a model for Penthouse. Okay.
Okay, what is Penthouse, Mr. Eric?
Okay, Penthouse.
It's a magazine,
it's
right?
A magazine
For
adults.
children or adults?
For adults only.
Okay, thank you.
He's a billionaire, but has been bankrupt a few times.
Okay.
Each time he managed to make a comeback, even though he subsequently bankrupted himself again after that.
Uh-huh. So what does he do actually?
So he runs a casino and is a real estate tycoon, the owner of the Donald Trump Tower Hotel. And
He has a casino.
It's a casino. That's just one of it.
And he has a lot of properties in a place called Manhattan, is it?
Manhattan and even the former Atlantis also belongs to him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he says he doesn't like to read books, but he has written a few books himself. Wow,
That's fantastic.
Fantastic.
It shows that he doesn't copyright.
Yeah, that means it all comes from his heart or in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Including co-authoring a book with Robert Kiyosaki, the all-time bestsellers of personal finance book. He once wrote a book titled, There's No Such Thing as Over-Leverage.
Fantastic.
Maybe Andrew can enlighten our listeners what you mean by over-leverage.
Okay, over-leverage means borrowing to the max until you're not supposed to borrow what you borrow. Okay, that's called over-leverage.
So his book may be interesting because there's no such thing as over-leverage.
That means you can borrow as much as you like.
As you like and as much as people can lend it to you.
Fantastic. Earth-shattering.
Earth-shattering. So, Andrew, how did he manage to win the presidential
Aha!
elections?
That's a very interesting question. There are so many theories and explanations. Among them are, firstly, he managed to appeal to the majority, that is the working class and the lower middle income group. This group of people are not happy with the economy. Some of them are jobless and debt-ridden. So he managed to market himself to these people and endear himself to all these people who voted for him. Jobless people, poor people, okay, and
So
people
that's
who are a
where
lot
the
of
mass
debts.
of the votes are.
And secondly, he managed to play on the 9/11 issue and Islamophobia. Says
It's a new term.
right, Islamophobia means phobia about the religion of Islam. Okay, we actually can't blame them and actually can't comment because our country has not been bombed yet like theirs.
Yeah.
So it's not fair for us to say
Say
anything. But he managed to tell everybody that it's dangerous. Islam will bomb the country, you know, if you're not careful. And the guy seems that they are quite sympathetic to this kind of election.
So he managed to capture the heart of the general Americans. In that sense.
Yeah, the other issue is about
The hidden
Mexico.
voice.
Yes, Eric, Mexico has been a problem for America, and people from Mexico conveniently migrated to the porous borders of America and
I think
Mexico.
the Mexicans have been there since time immemorial when they are neighboring America for the past, 300 years.
Yes. And you see, people tell us that America is on the east and west. Most cities are there. In the middle of America is quite empty, and there's a lot of space for the Mexicans to live.
Barren land,
Mm-hmm.
you know, where there's very easily for the Mexicans to actually go
Right. The
through.
problem with Mexicans, some of them, they are bad guys. They do crime and they do drugs and stuff like that. That's why people don't like them. Okay, but of course not all lah. And then he has a wonderful slogan: "Make America Great Again." And this echoes with a lot of people's feeling that America was once great, but not anymore now. So the man on the street really love him. He keeps telling them that once upon a time we were a great nation.
I think that's what a lot of Americans felt.
Yeah, it's quite
In
true.
that sense, it's true.
Yeah, that's how you won the elections, right?
Because the most Americans nowadays doesn't see any more made in USA products anymore. Most of them will see made in China products in their own country, which makes them because Americans are quite patriotic in a sense.
Yeah, you used to have a lot of things made in America, right?
And
Right now, besides Microsoft and
Soft-
Apple, a lot of things
And-
are not made in America.
Well, and even Microsoft and Apple, some of them are made in China.
The idea is there.
The idea is there, and most programmers are in India, so you don't
Yeah.
really see that in America anymore.
Right, yeah, we are still on the topic of how Donald Trump won. And one of the other reasons was that he successfully positioned Hillary as a liar and a bad guy with dubious emails that are dangerous to national security. And actually, one of her close aides is a lady who is a close relative of the ISIS and terrorist leaders. I mean, people over here in Malaysia or ASEAN, we are not so aware. But people in America, they are aware of this very sensitive fact that one
It's
of her
true.
close aides is a daughter of an
And,
ISIS leader.
In their country, they are very sensitive to any terrorism.
And in the same note, he pointed out that Obama directly or indirectly promoted terrorism and is a founder of ISIS.
Oh, there's a big claim for that.
Yeah, I mean, he actually explained why he said that. And obviously, the American people, they bought what he sold.
That's why he becomes the Paris president.
Yeah, it's all a matter of marketing and people
Positioning.
say bullshitting.
Positioning. I don't call it positioning. I call it positioning. It's how
Right.
he positioned himself.
And finally, there's the other issue called the Obamacare, whereby he managed to play on the people's complaints about Obama's Obamacare, which burdened some people or ripped them off some insurance benefits. And the people are not happy, and they keep harping on this issue. I'll abolish Obamacare. And after he became elected, he conveniently said that he will consider it again.
Consider it and take it into a second look.
That's politics for us.
That's politics. Well, and then the above issues were so serious that people even overlooked the fact that he is a sexist, racist, and religious hater. Wow, that's a big claim.
Yeah, all these things are the people are well aware of all his shortcomings, and compared to those more serious issues like he mentioned, the people would rather ignore these issues. And when Hillary said that he groped some lady's breast or something like that, that is really totally irrelevant because the people already know what kind of guy
They
Donald
are
Trump
voting
is
for.
before they even nominated him, right?
It's true, because what probably they're looking at is the big picture of how a new president can perform.
Yeah.
Not about his personal character. That is immaterial anymore.
Yeah. So the guys who were advising Hillary on that side on how to market her did a very serious mistake here, I believe, by harping on personal attacks and saying that he's a real monster when it comes to women. This everybody already knew, and they don't mind.
It's a known fact, so they don't mind. Yeah. So then, what are the problems he would need to tackle as the next POTUS?
As the president of the next United States, he will have his hands full, Eric, I believe.
Yeah, that's
Plenty of problems. For example, terrorism, racial problems, whites shooting the blacks shooting the whites everywhere. And we have also TPPA, which was negotiated for more than 10 years under Obama.
Yes, and I believe that we covered that topic.
Yeah, we actually talked about TPPA when Obama confirmed that he's going to implement
it.
Okay, right now Obama says that, well, I'll just leave it to the next president to make the final decision. And as you mentioned, we have Mexico problems for Donald Trump. And also we have human rights and freedom, problems with human rights and freedom. And what else is there?
Well, you can look at the LGBT.
Yes, the gay rights group are getting very strong.
Gay rights and lesbian rights, all these
things.
things.
And a big issue called abortion
issues. And I believe that most Americans are quite conservative. They don't believe in abortions, but it still happens.
Yeah, but the Pope says that abortion is forgivable. Okay, so we have more and more confusing issues.
More confusing. And then they have the unemployment, which is escalating to a certain extent. Then they need to cover the environmental issues.
Global warming, emissions, carbon emissions,
And then the international relations.
Yeah, for one, they got to patch up with the Philippines, right?
Philippines and probably China. Then the defense, the human rights, and the economics problems.
Yeah, they need to cut down sending rockets to throw in the moon. Okay.
So every rocket actually costs a lot of money. And human rights also another big issues.
Yeah, and on top of that, they have other problems which they took upon themselves. For example, like becoming the police of the world.
Yeah,
seeing unfairness and non-democracy.
The army base around the world.
Right,
the watchdog of all these nations.
Yes, and at the moment, I believe they are bombing several countries right now, 6 or 7.
So I think it's time for them to withdraw back and cut costs, cut down the cost or losses.
Right, yeah, a lot of money spent there. Okay, so
we will take a short break and be back with our story shortly. So stay tuned, guys.
Welcome back. You're listening to ASEAN Biz, and our Durian main story today is how Donald Trump can make America great again. But before we continue with the concluding part of our story today, Eric will give us a quick health tip, and his story for today is the importance of sleep.
This is a very interesting topic.
I love to sleep.
Love to sleep. Everybody loves to sleep. But some cannot sleep. The importance of sleep. Don't neglect sleep. Athletes pay so much attention to exercises and nutrition, but forget the third piece of the picture. For peak performance, you need to sleep, says James Mas, a psychology professor at Cornell University. He says, for a good night's rest, make sure to stick to your routine. Go to bed and wake up at the same time each day. Keep your room dark, quiet and cool, and don't use electronic devices for 30 minutes before lights out.
I seem to break every law.
Yeah, most people will break every laws, especially I think athletes also broke a lot of this.
Yeah, it's difficult to go to bed and wake up at the same time each day. We are very irregular. One day late, one day early,
Especially with so much temptation in the night.
The easy part is to keep the room dark, quiet and cool. That is fun lah. Okay lah, that's not too bad.
But the difficult part is the
electronic devices usually are off less than 1 minute before we go to sleep.
Well,
so that's bad.
Need to be some changes in order for you to get some rest.
Yeah.
So adjust your lifestyle a bit and your habits.
And Eric, I definitely cannot argue with the fact that sleep is so important to us. A lot of people actually die due to lack of sleep, isn't it?
Yeah, it's true. And in fact, a lot of athletes actually have a so-called muscle seizures because of lack of sleep and lack of rest.
Right. Thank you, Eric. That's a great health tip. Let's continue with our Durian main story today. That is, how Donald Trump can make America great again.
So, Andrew, before the break, we were talking
how he got elected and what are the issues he had to tackle.
So let's follow through and see what exactly does Donald Trump need to do to make America great again. Wow, this is a tall order, and it actually needs a lot of work.
Yeah, Eric. Well, besides all the problems and issues mentioned earlier, we believe that Donald Trump's biggest priority is to tackle the national debt problem in order to make America great again. I mean, being a money and business station, you can't blame us for emphasizing on money and economics, right?
It's true, because everything circles around these issues.
Yeah, I mean,
all countries circles around.
It's not to say that terrorism is not important. Human rights, abortion, gay rights, and all that are not important. But we believe the most important issue that Donald Trump needs to tackle in order to make America great again, like Eric mentioned just now, they used to have many things that are made in the US, but today everything else is made in China or somewhere else, which is bad. So let's come back to the most serious problem with money America is having. That is national debt. How much is the national debt right now, Eric?
At this moment, their national debt is at $18 trillion. Which is more than 100% of the country's GDP at 17 trillion.
It's already surpassed the country's GDP.
And we can take a closer look at this problem at the website called usdebtclock.org, where you can see that the interest incurred on the national debts is about 1 million every minute.
Wow.
That's
$1 million US per minute. You must be kidding me, Eric.
And can you imagine what's the population of America?
Yeah, and that's interest alone.
That interest alone.
And per minute.
And if you are looking at 300 millions of...
it's mind-boggling.
300 million of populations. So
So if you don't cut down the principal, the interest will keep accumulating at a greater pace, like a runaway train, right?
Yes.
So the question is, how did America incur such a huge national debt in the first place?
Well, first of all, we have to look at how they spend their money. They have a few big items that take up a lot of money from the treasury, such as defense spending. Well, when earlier we says that they become the police of the world, they send defense.
Yeah, nuclear programs and all that.
Everything. Medicare and Social Security, all of which the country could not afford, and this created a lot of budget deficits every year. These accumulations of budget deficits created a high level of national debts.
Which means they are spending more than they can afford. Indirectly saying they are spending money that they don't have.
I believe that these issues happens around the world. Most developed countries or most developing countries will incur this kind of cost.
Right. Yeah, Eric, let's go back a little bit to what we used to discuss. Imagining that there are new listeners who just joined our program who are not so aware what is happening with debt and the international standard of debt. So why do we consider this level of debt high, that is 18 trillion, as compared to their GDP of 17 trillion? And what is the repercussion of having high levels of debt?
Well, a debt of less than 60% against a country GDP is considered ideal by the World Bank and the IMF. 80% would be a dangerous level. 100% is critical. Right? Anything above 100% may be considered alarming, with the possibility of a sudden economic seizure or crash, which may be triggered by any financial turmoil such as property or stock markets or commodities crash, currency or oil stocks, etc., which is what's happening to crude oil right now. So you can see there's so many factors, financial factors, that can affect a country's debt.
So these levels are quoted by the IMF and the World Bank. It's not what we say, right?
Yeah.
So
and I believe, and a few sessions before, we actually talked about this national debts and the GDP or the benchmarking. And you can see that most country actually spends a lot of money on consumables, consumer items.
So Eric, let's while we are at this, let's sidetrack a little bit more and ask the question: which countries are having high or low levels of national debt? Now we are comparing with the US, right?
With the US. So looking at it, Japan has the highest national debt to GDP ratio in the world of 200%. And however, Japan debt is mostly local debts owned to its citizens, whereas US and many other countries own foreign debts to foreign countries or foreign banks. China has a national debt of only 40%.
China is quite opposite of America. They have a very low national debt, but of course they have a very high corporate debt, which is not taken into consideration. But anyway, Japan, they owe money to their citizens, and their citizens are quite forgiving and quite patient to wait for the government to pay them back. And they are a very patriotic nation with a lot of patience.
So they are holding to so-called invaluable bonds. Can be catch up by the next few generations.
Right. So US owe a lot of money to foreign countries and foreign banks, particularly to China, which is their biggest creditor, right?
Money, which means that you can't hold on to the debts for too long, and the interests are escalating.
And
if you owe your own citizens money, you can actually how you call it?
You know, Eric, recently I come across these two schools of thought whereby some people say that China is quite afraid of the US because they are owing them so much money. In case something happens to US economy, China will be suffering also. The other school of thought says that it doesn't matter, considering the fact that US owes China a lot of money, and they must continue allowing them to slowly pay up. The problem is, if China stops lending to US today, that is where the problem starts. It's not so much whether the US can pay back to China or not. It's rather China can afford to continue lending to them or not.
Well, I think China, looking at it, China will be quite safe, even though they can't repay back. They can pay back with cities.
Let's not talk about that. That's very unpatriotic, Eric. That would be the last resort.
Yeah. And in fact, most countries are already paying China with cities.
So let's come back to our new president. What should Donald Trump do in order to rein in the debt, to reduce the amount?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, let's take a look at the Medicare or Social Security, for example. They are more than what the country can bear. So mathematically speaking, either the benefits should be reduced or the people should pay more, say in the form of taxes, in order to be able to afford all these benefits and luxuries. Americans would need to work harder, be more productive and innovative in order to nurture the country back to a healthy level of financially. So in other school of thoughts, we look at Medicare. So it's time for the Americans to stay more healthy.
Yeah, I think the government has promised more than they can deliver. You know, people getting sick, getting old, and they need medical care. So these are all a strain on the budget, and definitely the government cannot afford to keep paying for all this. So logically, they would need to ask the citizens to reduce a bit of their benefit, and definitely this is not acceptable to the citizens, right?
You can see that happens in Greece.
And
when they go for the austerity drive, you can see that the whole country went into chaos.
Yeah, we can see that it's a matter of human beings get used to certain habits. Is very, very difficult to change. You know, exactly like what you mentioned in Greece, where people had a very high standard of living. Every day, fine dining, living in big houses, driving Porsche cars, flat screen TVs.
Which they can't afford.
You know? Yeah. So one fine day, something is going to happen. So, they should either cut down a little bit on the benefits or try to pay a bit more taxes in order to afford. Which in the case of Greece, exactly that was what, did not happen. Yeah. The people tried their very best not to pay taxes.
And to live lavishly.
So money doesn't grow on trees, they say. So in the end, it collapsed.
So failing which, the country will have to borrow or print more money in order to bear all these costs. So it comes back to square one again. They got to keep on printing money if it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And it's time for the Americans to stay healthy, cut down on food. And if you look at the statistic, actually Americans have a 60% obesity in their country.
Right, yeah. It's good to cut down at the same time to slim down physically and live more healthy
and more healthy
and live longer.
Reduce the Medicare in that way.
Yeah, that is the correct way to have a higher standard of living, right?
Yes. In fact, the country have to sell forward this school of thoughts of staying healthy and fit.
Right. So, according to us, that would be what Donald Trump means, in order to make America great again. So, let's look realistically. What are the chances that Donald Trump will succeed as the next president in making America great?
Well, these are mostly speculative, and we note that the previous presidents have not done much at all to rein in the country's debts. It's now up to Donald Trump to motivate and discipline everyone to work hard and cultivate good savings habit in order to really make the country great again. Talking from a businessman point of view, it's
money, dollars and cents.
Dollars and cents, it's all boils down to the basic.
How we make the problem so simple, Eric? It used to be so complicated, right? Making America great would involve 101 things. But to us here at Durian ASEAN, it is really that simple.
That's simple.
Tighten your belt, work harder, save more money, be more innovative. That's all it takes.
And however, if it goes the same way as the previous presidents, that is, instead of increasing productivity, they rely on more borrowings and leverage, the country runs a serious risk of getting bankrupt, like some of his businesses. This may lead to worse stability and eventually to wars in order to cover up for money's woes.
Oh, that sounds bad.
It's true. It sounds bad, but it's
Some
true.
people say that all wars were related to money.
Well, when the citizens got no money and nothing to eat, that's war starts.
It's all a matter of economic needs.
If you look back in history, most wars started because of the citizens cannot have any food to eat.
Yeah, to fill their stomachs, right?
Fill the stomach. Even Civil War or World War is started the same way.
So, Eric, let's continue speculating, like you say. What do you think will happen? Will Donald Trump succeed in making America great again in the end? By the time he finishes his first term or probably his second term or whatever, can he actually do what he promised? And we do not know exactly what he meant when he said to make America great again. This is our version of what it should mean, okay?
Maybe the world is looking on.
Yeah, everybody is looking.
Everybody is looking on. And we at ASEAN do hope America will be strong again, because a stronger America is good for world security and prosperity.
Definitely, Eric. It will be good for ASEAN.
It's good for ASEAN because ASEAN also dependent a lot.
Yeah, when America is strong, they can buy more goods from us, right?
Yeah, it's true. And instead of buying from a particular country, they can actually buy more from different countries.
So you're saying we should not speculate whether he can do it or not, but rather we should keep our fingers crossed and pray that he can do it.
Well, I believe that when you are at the president's seats, you have
so much power.
You have so much power, and you got to deliver what you promises.
Yes, leadership is one of the most important things that I observe. For example, places like China, where Xi Jinping is fighting corruption, and over in India also, the president is trying very hard to rein in corruption.
And you see that Duterte also rein into drugs.
Yeah, so you see, in every country, it takes a strong leader to really motivate and to discipline the people to go the right way, and everybody will just follow the leader.
And at times, I believe that humans need to be whipped.
Yeah, time to crack the whip.
Time to crack
and bring
the
the
whip.
big cane.
You cannot have too much of freedom that it becomes uncontrollable.
Right. Guys, that's all the time we have for today. Hope you have enjoyed our show. We'll be back with a brand new Durian Main story for our next edition on ASEAN Biz. Thank you and goodbye.